In addition to keyframing, we can also use what are called controllers to affect animation. Now, these can automatically animate objects by things such as an audio file or noise, or you can use things such as scripts or constraints. Now, controllers really are just ways to control motion in 3ds Max. So let's take a look at some simple applications of this. I'm going to go ahead and select my airplane here, and I have no animation on this right now. I'm going to go back into the motion panel, make sure that I'm on parameters. Now, as you can see, right below that, we have this controller window. So these controllers are what is currently controlling the animation. And by default, this is position XYZ and Euler XYZ, as well as scale XYZ. And these are the defaults. And these give us our animation curves and allow us to edit the animation as we have. But I can change this. So I'm going to actually scale this out just a little bit so we can see this whole thing. And you'll notice that this position XYZ has controllers for X, Y, and Z, and those are called Bezier floats. And the same for rotation. Now, if I want to, I can change one of these or all of these. So if I selected position X, Y, Z, I can assign a new controller to that. When I click on that button, it says Assign Position Controller. So I've got a number of different options here. Right now it's on position XYZ, but if I want to, I could change it to a script and actually program how the position is calculated. I could do audio position, which uses an audio file. I can also use a path constraint to connect it to a motion path. But in this case, I'm going to use what's called a noise position. So when I select that and hit OK, watch what happens. This noise controller comes up and it gives me all the values that I need to control this object using noise. So if I scrub through, you can see that this is a very noisy airplane. But I can change the strength of this. So if I take, for example, my X and Y strength down to 0, you'll see that now this object is only bouncing up and down along Z. And I could say turn that down to 10, and now I'm getting kind of a nice steady jitter. If I want to, I can change the frequency of the noise. I can change the seed. And I can change the roughness or smoothness of the noise. Now once I've got these dialed in, I can close this. And if I want to go back to this, all I have to do is go over this, highlight it, and go back to Properties, and that will bring up that window. So now I've got this airplane basically just kind of jittery. Now this may be enough animation for what we want, but we may want to do something a little bit more sophisticated. Let's say we want the airplane to be flying, and I want it to be kind of jittering as it flies, add just a little bit more natural motion to it. Well, we can do that by adding in what's called a position list. So this is just another type of controller, and this allows me to stack controllers onto one channel here. So if I assign controller, and I go position list and click OK, watch what happens. We get noise position here, but we have an available slot here. So in that slot, I can add in a second controller. So in this case, I'm going to add in just my standard position XYZ. And now you can see I have two separate controllers here. And this will allow me to change it. So if I want to, I can select position XYZ, set that active, and keyframe. So right now, I've got the noise position doing one motion, but I can move this airplane back a little bit at frame 0, set a key, move this timeline forward, maybe turn on auto key, and set another key. So now I've got two controllers affecting the motion of this object. I have noise position, which is creating that jitter, and I have position XYZ, which is actually moving the object. So now when I animate it, you can see how that works. Now we can also weight this. So if I want to, I can change the weights of my noise position as well. So this is just a very simple example, but it shows you how you can use controllers to really affect how an object moves.